Team Awesome is back!
That's right, it's Tangled Talk with Team Awesome. Today is going to be episode 4. We are on the hiatus. This is the 4th episode during the hiatus, and so we've decided that it's about time for us to start doing the season 1 in review. Now, obviously, we've all seen season 1, and it's a very long time ago at this point, especially to start at the beginning. We're going to skip Tangled Before Ever After because we've actually talked extensively about that. I believe in the very first episode of Tangled Talk, we talked extensively about that. So we're going to actually, a lot of this is reminiscing. We're going to be going over what we remember about the first time we saw this episode, lasting impressions, things like that. And another thing we're going to be doing specifically is we're going to be doing this in production order rather than the order that they aired in, because maybe not everybody knows at this point because it's been a while, but season 1 was not aired 100% in order. And actually, there's a lot of stuff that makes more sense when it's in order. My benchmark is always like, how is Lance getting along with people? That's the benchmark, because it shows up in the Return of Strongbow, which makes perfect sense. And then the next time we see him is in Pascal's story, and he's appears to have moved into the castle, and we're like, what the heck is going on? But in reality, his next appearance was supposed to be in Queen for a Day, which is when Frederick is all like, and who are you? And why are you stealing my stuff? And that makes so much more sense. So I want to do this in production order, which, by the way, in foreign countries, it is airing in production order. So they all got it in the right order. I mean, in as much as it has continued to air, like, I think that there's at least one country, I think Sweden or something like that, hasn't even gone past Queen for a Day or something weird like that. So
crazy.
Poor other countries, I feel bad for you guys, because, like, you're desperate for more stuff, and you gotta do this by, like, less than legal means just to see it. And, I mean, and I know that all the people that I personally talk to who live in foreign countries where it hasn't been airing regularly, I know that they all do watch it when it does air, but they still are stuck with the whole thing about, like, if they want to be caught up on it at all, they're watching bootlegs in the meantime. So anyway, hats off to you guys. But first off, yes, on October 31st, Chris Sonnenberg did reveal the final page of the final script has been approved. The series,
it was the scariest thing on Halloween.
So was.
The series is done being written, guys. I mean, that's it. Like, we can say all we want of, well, I hope they include this, that, or the other thing, but it's done. It's written. There's nothing more for them to write.
So what you're saying is next stop, nowhere.
Aw.
And here's the funny thing, is it's like, I know that at least Kelsey and I had privately would be like, come on, Chris. I mean, I think Ellie and I were doing it too. We're like, come on, give us something, anything. We just something to tide us over to the hiatus. He's like, by the way, that's not what we wanted, Chris. I know you're listening. That is not what we wanted.
Put it back. Put it back.
Fun, not something sad.
Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me.
But just for people who, I mean, I think that by now it's pretty cleared up, but just to make it absolutely clear for everybody, this does not mean that the series has been canceled. This does not mean that we're not getting any new episodes. Tangled was always going to be 3 seasons long. Ever since, like, even before it started airing, Zachary Levi had done an interview with E! And in that interview, he said it was going to be 3 seasons long, 78 episodes. And I know that, like, some of the tent poles, I mean, all of the tent poles, if it's a double episode, that counts as 2 episodes. So part 1 and part 2 is so, yeah. I don't know exactly how the numbering is. It averages out to 24 episodes per season, but I know that season 1 only had like 22. So it's an average number. So, I mean, I don't know exactly how it's going to work out in the end, if they're going to do another 22 episode season and then like a 28 episode season. That would be kind of cool. It's like, I don't know, maybe the finale will be like 2 tent poles right at the end back to back, you know? So
entirely possible.
So, I mean, something like that. But yeah, so it's not canceled. We still got a season and a half to go. We're going to be watching this series for another, 2 years, 2.5, 3 years, depends upon how long the hiatuses are. Because, like, that changes a lot on how long it technically runs. But it's a good long while before we actually get to the finale.
Well, and I don't mind the wait. Like, I know now it kind of like, we're like, give us something new. But I think in the long run we'll be like, yay, it didn't end like super fast. Like we've been able to like enjoy it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It's kind of nice because honestly, if we got it all back to back, it'd be like already almost over.
Mm-hmm.
Like seriously, if we had gotten like no breaks and no hiatuses and whatnot, we'd be very close to done at this point. And I'm like, no, I'd actually rather drag it out just a little bit longer. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
By the time we've got it going on.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, we're going to begin our conversations about the various episodes, starting at What the Hair. So, I know I've mentioned this before, and I've typed about it before, and I've probably said it out loud in the podcast before, but one of my biggest, fondest memories of What the Hair was actually while I was watching Tangled Before Ever After, because that's when they aired the commercial. Hey guys, do you remember when we used to get commercials for the next episode?
Yeah, oh man. Back in my day.
That was the day. But one of my fondest memories is that while I'm watching Tangled Before Ever After, they showed the teaser for What the Hair, but all they basically showed us was that Gothel was going to be in it. Mm-hmm. And I lost my freaking mind. Ellie and I were like vid chatting while we were watching the episode, since we're in the same time zone, we can watch it together. And we both just threw ourselves up against the back of our couches, and we were screaming. And I live in an apartment complex, and like 2 or 3 of my neighbors were like, "Hey, are you okay in there?" And we're like, "Oh, yeah, the TV just surprised me. Sorry about that, guys."
They're like, "Are you being murdered violently?" And you're like,
"Yes, by feels."
Yes, by the writer.
Feels. Oh my god. But yeah, so having that one little Gothel moment was such a shock. And, like, we're like, this has to be some sort of a dream sequence. This is insane. What's going on? And
I was drunk when they dropped that. I was like, I'm going to drink some wine while I watch this. And I was like, oh, my God.
That's amazing.
I couldn't handle it. Oh, man.
That was so funny. Yeah, so that was amazing. I absolutely really loved that. And that's why I want more teasers, because look at that bomb and how amazing that was. Imagine if we had a teaser for the next episode and how we would not shut up about it at this point. Because it would be like all we had to go on. Maybe they'll do a teaser for the next episode eventually. That'd be great. Like, coming back from hiatus, here's a couple little clips, you know?
Please. Please.
Disney marketing, please.
Right? Disney, please. Disney, please.
Please.
So at this point, I know that I personally was already really keyed up for Varian, because yay, Teenage Alchemy Boy. I'm like so into that idea. I was like, this is going to be absolutely amazing. And so he shows up in this episode, and he turns out to be this absolute baby doll. And he was so cute and so funny, and he won our hearts immediately. And like, I go back and I rewatch the episode. I'm just like, oh man, where you're going, child, where you're going. But like, he was so great and he was so funny, and I was so enamored right away. Like, I remember I drew a fan art of him just from the one teaser that he featured in, and I was like, oh my god, we finally have Varian. Look at him, he's so cute. It was so great. It was so great.
I love when he passes out.
Oh my god,
that's my favorite part.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, that's amazing. I'm like, oh, he's such a nerd.
That's how we know he can never be a true villain.
Right? Has that side of blood.
But like, oh god.
Then like him fanboying over Flynn Rider was just like, I was not prepared for that.
It was so relatable.
Was, like, so amazing. I was like, oh my god. And then like Eugene being all like, what are you talking about? You don't know me. I've never met you before in my life. I'm like, that's my boy.
Like, you can't prove anything.
That was amazing. And then just like spending the episode being like, hello, my name is Eugene. You have to call me Eugene now. Because like, you know, all the really big all the really big Eugene people are like, we are singing to the heavens that he loves his name now and that he loves who he is now. And so him utterly rejecting Flynn Rider and being all like, hello, my name is Eugene. We're like, yes, that's what we've been saying. For 6 years we've been saying that.
Yep.
God, 6 years. It's already been so long. It's been a year and a half. Well, it's been over a year and a half since What the Hair. It's been like,
oh my God.
We are really fast approaching on the 2-year mark for What the Hair.
Jesus Christ.
Oh.
For Tangled Before Ever After.
Like end of March.
Yeah, because Tangled Before Ever After, the book came out on Valentine's Day, as we've discussed.
Yeah.
And then, so the movie came out like 2 weeks later?
Yeah. No, it was a month.
It was a month? Okay, full month.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And then, like, it was 2 weeks until the series started. No, it was June when was 2 weeks.
It was
2 weeks. Because
March.
I remember, I actually looked up some of the dates, and I know that something on the list aired in April. So I know that it was in
yeah, because the last, Return of Strongbow, I believe, aired in April. And then we went on a little break.
We did. Not nearly as long as this one, though.
No, just a little one.
Yeah, that was like a 6-week one, I think.
Yeah,
Man.
that was a long one.
Do you guys remember when they used to show us commercials and then have short hiatuses?
Yeah.
Oh, what a day.
Back in the okay, everybody who started watching this series during season 2 or coming up to season 2, you missed a lot of good things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of anniversaries, we're also 20 days away at the time of this recording. It is currently the 4th.
From the movie's anniversary.
The 8th,
The 8th anniversary of the movie is coming up really fast. That's amazing. That is so great. So
we're 20 days and 2 years away from 10 years, guys.
I know. Gosh, that's insane.
Yeah.
Gosh. Okay, but speaking of Rapunzel and Eugene and their relationship, like, first of all, in Tangled Before Ever After, we had the whole thing with Eugene talking about his past and airing, pouring out his heart, and Rapunzel wasn't there to hear it. But I really liked how in What the Hair that carried over, and he was still having insecurities about the relationship. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my gosh, this show is actually going to honestly acknowledge what goes into a relationship. Mm-hmm. And I was already, like, so in love with that idea. Because it was just, like, you get the impression, you're like, okay, well, obviously, we've had this round and round about it. This show is not, quote-unquote, aimed at kids. It is for the Tangled fans, but it is kid-friendly. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, I was not anticipating them really getting in depth with their relationship. I thought it was going to be like, okay, well, they're an established couple, and so they're just going to be an established couple. You know?
Mm-hmm. And in the first episode, too. Oh my God.
And dude, and you had the whole cheek kiss on Max's back, and, like, how that was, like, the gif of the century.
Oh my God.
That was so great. I mean, and that is still, if you, like, do a gif search on Tumblr for, like, the show, or for Rapunzel, or for Eugene, that's always on the list. Because that individual gif is, like, that was the gif. It was so great.
So when that episode came out, the night it came out, we were leaving for Disney in the morning at like 4 a.m. And I had been so excited for the episode that I had not slept probably for an entire week. Like that in Disney. So by that time, I'm loopy as hell. And we watched it. And I had like this adrenaline rush because I was like, yeah, I'm excited for this episode. And then there was so much cute new dream like right off the bat. I was like, I can't deal with this. So I made that picture of them sitting on Max, my background, and we're on the plane, and so I couldn't watch it again, so I'm just, like, staring at my phone.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
It's so good.
Oh, man, that's so great. And, the funny thing is, it's like, one of the things that I loved about it is that this started to expand. I mean, it started showing us what we were going to be able to expect from these characters. Mm-hmm. And I was genuinely impressed that they took the pub thugs and they, like, reiterated that these guys have dreams, but they didn't make them stop being pub thugs. Mm-hmm. It's like, not only do they still hang out in the Snuggly Duckling, but it's not like they're all sunshine and roses now. They're still gruff and rough around the edges, and they're still gritty, and they just happen to have dreams, Mm-hmm. And I like how that develops them as people, that they don't strip away how they were established in order to be like, and then Rapunzel changed them all with her magical friendship, And and see, that's one thing I love about this show is it's like, yes, all these people are befriending Rapunzel without changing who they are at the core, which goes back to show that this is who Eugene really is at his core, And so the whole Flynn facade being torn away is just tops. It's beautiful. It's great. It's awesome. I love it. It's fantastic. I had to say it. Apparently, okay, guys, just so you know, we've been called out. apparently we describe things as fantastic in this podcast all the time, and none of us ever noticed. But now I'm hyper aware of the fact that we say it. So now I say it deliberately. So it's fantastic. The funny thing, so going into this, we get our second impression of Cassandra. And honestly, walking away from Tangled Before Ever After, I had such mixed feelings about her. I'm like, well, I like that she's a badass, and I like that she's like really blunt and cut and dry, but I don't like how she treats Eugene, and I don't like how she's getting between Eugene and Rapunzel. Mm-hmm. And that really, really bothered me. And this just continued that, because this was when she was begging Rapunzel to keep the secret from Eugene. And Rapunzel was like, I can't do that. He's my boyfriend. This is the first time Rapunzel used the word boyfriend. That was so surreal. Good. I had no idea how they were going to do that. I'm like, are they going to try to use like modern terminology? Are they going to use like beau, or are they going to use like
no, just boyfriend?
Like, how are they going to do this? It's a boyfriend, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we're going there.
Yeah, that's so crazy, because like I know for the last however many years it was, 6 or 7, before that, fanfic writers and role players were trying their hardest to use any word other than boyfriend or girlfriend, and we're like, oh god, what do we use? So
like,
there's
so awkward, and then like they just went and used it, and we're like, okay then,
all right, I guess that's what we're going with.
So yeah, but so just and then so like Cass was. I mean, we got Eugene's hits in on Cass, because I know that they had, like, I think it was Chris specifically. We had been saying, like, man, Cassandra is so mean to Eugene, and Chris said something along the lines of, well, but, he gets his punches in too. And it's absolutely true, because, like, I mean, the whole thing about calling her cold as a glacier and also slow as a glacier, and it's like... It's like, hon, you're reaching. You're like, your insults. I love you, Eugene. Your insults are juvenile.
He's trying his best.
It's like, I gotta one up her somehow. I don't care what you think of me. So whatever you say, it doesn't work. But like, so it was. I still didn't really love Cassandra yet. I felt like we were supposed to really like her, and I just wasn't there yet. Mm-hmm. And I'm like. I'm like, if she develops as a character, I can see me end up liking her. But if she stays where she is, then I think eventually I'm going to end up disliking her, just straight up. And so that continued on through here, like her continuing to try to get Rapunzel to keep this secret from Eugene. It just like, I wasn't sure what to make of her yet. Mm-hmm. And so, like, the fact that Rapunzel at the end of the episode was like, well, you know what? It's between me and Cass that I'm not keeping the secret from you, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you anyway. I was so happy about that, because it's like, oh, good, she's actually choosing Eugene over Cassandra. Eugene, who she's known for, like, 3 days longer, but is clearly better friends with. Like, well, because, I mean, Cass is her favorite gal pal. But when you look at the inside the journals, on the inside of the journal about Cassandra, which was released... I don't remember when the Inside the Journals came out specifically, because I know that
I can look it up while
I missed those.
Go for it. Because, yeah, you know what? That's what we need during the hiatus, is we need some more Inside the Journals or something. Like
more about Eugene.
But also, just like, they're now out beyond the wall. Let's hear what of the world, But specifically in her Inside the Journal about Cassandra, she even said... Sometimes I'm not so sure she likes me very much. So, like, it was clear that they went off to this rocky start. I mean, you look at, like, the books by Layla Howland, and although we have been told that that is not 100% canon, and then kind of pick and choose which parts we decided to take as canon, take a lot of it with a grain of salt. Mm-hmm. Even in that, you saw the rocky start. That Cass was not interested in being her handmaiden. That she was like, nope, I just want to make my maps and be a guard, and that's all I want to do.
She made me mad in that book, too. Man.
Yeah.
It was September 5th, 2017 is when the Cassandra episode of Inside the Journal came out.
Okay, yeah. See, I knew that we got the Inside the Journals later than, like, the original shorts, because the original shorts originally released with the DVD of Tangled Before Ever After, and then they like aired them on TV also.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like because Rapunzel wasn't sure Kath liked her very much, because Cassandra was still kind of like being really weird, you know, I wasn't 100% there yet. I'm like, I like her, but I don't love her, you know? Like, I like her as an individual. I don't like her in reference to Rapunzel and Eugene as a couple. Because it was just so, like, stop it. It's not all about you, you know? Yeah, so what the hair was... And also we started getting, you know, that her hair was actually doing stuff, you know? And that was, like, surprising. Because we found out... I mean, okay, do you guys remember... when it cuts to her singing the end of Healing Incantation and how much your heart just like bursts with joy
Oh my
to hear
gosh.
Healing Incantation, and then it like her hair doesn't heal anymore. So we knew it was indestructible, but then like it started actually doing stuff.
For a hot second there, I was like hella pissed because I'm like, no, we all collectively agreed as a fandom that it doesn't heal anymore.
Yes.
The last bit of healing magic went into Eugene when he freaking died.
So
then it didn't work, and I was like, oh
thank God. Yeah, same though. But like honestly, that was not even a collective fandom thing. That was like something Glenn Keane said. He's like, oh no, the last of the healing magic was in her tears, and the whole point of that was that the healing was in her the whole time, but it was like also the hair. So it's like when the hair was cut, she summoned the last of the magic. And so that one tear was the last of magic, and so that's why there's no more healing. It's gone. She went from being the super special girl to being a normal girl, which was important, you know? So, having her not be able to heal after, like, for a hot second, we thought she was going to be able to. It's like, what? And then that didn't happen, and I was like, oh, good, I don't have to start murdering people.
Yeah. I wonder if that'll come up later. Like, something's going to happen, and she's like, not going to be able to heal. If only I could heal. The angsty person in me is like, yes.
Okay. Do it.
I'm like right there with you because as a role player, I've had times where I was, you know, before the series came out, I'd have times in the role plays where something would happen and she'd be like, oh, if only I had my healing hair. Like, so, yeah, I'd actually really love to see her struggle with that, with, you know, this thing that I don't have anymore would be really useful right about now. But yeah, and then it's like, so we had all this great relationship stuff, and we discovered that her hair could do things. And honestly, the fact that Cassandra did not find out until the quest for Varian made me so happy. Like I just took for granted that Rapunzel had told Cassandra that her hair did other things now, you know? And when Cass was like, oh my god, is that new? We're like, oh, you never found out. Okay. So that was kind of like freaking amazing. I was really, really happy about that. That was fun. So yeah, so that was What the Hair, and that was a really great, strong start to the series. I was very, very happy with how that was going. And so then we move on to Rapunzel's Enemy, which, quite frankly, Before Ever After and What the Hair, I was very disappointed in Rapunzel's Enemy for a very long time.
Because we're waiting all week. We're like, all right, let's do this. Let's get the next one. All right. And we're like, oh.
I was like, oh my god, this show's going to be fantastic.
Where's those rocks at?
Yeah, okay. So
Rapunzel's
Enemy was extremely day in the life compared to the really episodic, epic stuff. Not episodic, but the epic stuff that we got in the movie and What the Hair. That was a freaking letdown. And it was my least favorite episode for a very long time. Like, it really was. But the funny thing is that the longer the series went on, the more I like this episode. Because, like, when I can take a step back and be like, okay, after seeing that a lot of the series was going to be episodic, and I took a step back and I rewatched it, I was like, you know, this not only teaches Rapunzel a valuable lesson, but it's a lesson that I, as a 30-something, and I'm saying 30-something because at the time I was not 38, but I, as a 30-something-year-old, am learning from this show. Because, honestly, I struggle with I need people to like me. I really do. And so having Rapunzel have this episode about like, oh no, you know, it's okay for everybody to not like you all the time. I'm like, really? That's okay? That's something that I can like, okay, that's an interesting, I mean, and I remind myself of it on a regular basis.
If Rapunzel says so, then I can believe it.
right?
Yep. Same.
Rapunzel can be okay with the idea, but I also like, though, that she was fine with one person in Corona not liking her, but she was not fine with the whole town not liking her.
Yep.
So, like, I like how...
That's fair.
Well, that's exactly it, is that it's actually realistic to learn your lesson in one situation, but then backslide it and be like, but why is that applicable here? That shouldn't have to apply. Everybody's still supposed to like me. Especially because by the time she leaves Corona, she and Uncle Monty have an understanding. It's like they're not even at the point now where they dislike each other. They're just like, no, we get along, you know? And so she's like still convinced that she can eventually win anybody over. And so, yeah, that's so, yeah.
It's funny because I feel like this same thing happened again, where we got some really great episodes, and then the next episodes were just like, oh, in comparison. Like the beginning of season 2, for instance.
Yep.
We were like, oh my god, this season is gonna kick butt because we got Beyond the Corona Walls, and then we've got Quaid, and
to be fair, nothing can beat Beyond the Corona Walls. But I'd like to see him try. I'd love to see him try.
No. Here's the thing.
Try, you guys.
I'm gonna say, here's the thing, and I'm pretty sure that something will beat Beyond the Corona Walls. We're just not there yet.
And I just can't wait to see it. Bring it on.
Oh, right. Seriously.
Bring on the pain. Bring on the suffering.
I will say, though, that Cassandra and Eugene's stuff with Gregorio, like, saved this episode.
Yeah.
That's hysterically funny. Cassandra utterly losing her temper with him. But it's Binberry. The whole Binberry Dimberry conversation is like every time I listen to that conversation and I listen to what Eugene is saying, I die laughing all over again.
He's so
because he's
funny.
Like, Dimberries. No, you said Dimberries. You wait, what? What did you say? And just like, I'm like,
so
oh
funny.
my god. And him like, at first I'm like, dude, are you stealing food from a gopher? Oh no, you're sharing food with a gopher.
He goes, you want to go halvesies? That's my favorite line from that episode.
So good. And I love how he's holding him like a little baby.
He rails him like a baby.
He's a good babysitter.
And he feeds him basically caffeine.
I love when he laughs, when he's going all crazy when the gopher thing actually starts. He's so cute.
Audibly, that is like,
so cute.
That's like a belly laugh. And in the movie, you never get a belly laugh.
No.
And it's fantastic. Seeing Eugene this happy and carefree is like, gives me life.
Makes me so happy.
Like, this was a roundabout when people started saying, oh, well, I don't really like their portrayal of Eugene because he's out of character and yada, yada, yada. And this is when it started to be like, guys, he missed his childhood. This is him actually living his childhood. He's not like, and also, even if he was 26, which obviously that is not canon, but even if it were the case, he's still a dude in his 20s. Does anybody have any idea how dudes in their 20s act? This is totally in character for a dude in his 20s.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Straight up, especially a dude in his 20s who doesn't have to worry about rent and doesn't have to worry about, like, basically any of his needs.
Yeah.
The freeloading dude in his 20s, and it's beautiful. And it's like, I love seeing Eugene be able to cut loose and be carefree and just live his best life, and it's amazing. And
I'd also like to point out that I did see a lot of people complaining about the characterization of Eugene really early on, and I'm like, I think what happened is we all just built up in our minds and as a fandom what we thought he'd be like. And when he wasn't like that, we were all like, this is wrong. It's the wrong characterization. But the more I watch the show, I'm like,
oh, this is so right.
This is absolutely correct. We are all just freaking idiots.
See, I built him up as like this fluffy guy, and people would always tell me like, he's not like that. He's not that fluffy. And then it comes out in the show and I'm like, I was right.
Yeah. No, he's just like the sweetest boy, and he's just a large child, basically.
Exactly.
And he's got this fantastic sense of humor. I mean, Rapunzel, like, they've said in multiple sources that Rapunzel's favorite thing about Eugene is how funny he is.
Yeah.
And, like, that's straight up true still. You know, like, he cracks jokes constantly, and he doesn't take very much seriously, but when he takes it seriously, he takes it seriously. And, like, and that's so important for people to remember. Like, one of the things with the movie that people seem to understand is that it is a mere 3 days of their lives.
Yeah.
And that in those 3 days, they are not 3 typical days of their lives. They are 3 transitionary days of their lives. So neither of them are acting 100% the way that they would under normal circumstances, because these circumstances are not normal. So
Eugene fights a horse, for God's sake, with a sword. You guys.
Oh my gosh, if you go and see, the funny thing is that we all remember the drama, and like we do a lot of our interpretation comes off of the same 50 gifts that we see over and over again. And those same 50 gifts tend to be, I see the light. I mean, let's be real. We see more, I see the light, we see sword stuck in his face, and like, people forget that Eugene is actually comic relief in the movie also.
Yeah.
Like, he is the slapstick king in the movie. He's falling off of cliffs. He's running gut-long into a protruding rock. He sword fights with a horse while using a frying pan. He's like, no, like seriously, Eugene is, like, funny things happen to him all the time. One time, I was told anecdotally about this one person who was, or this group of people, I think they run this podcast where it's called, like, Gameable Disney. And the whole point is that they treat all of Disney like a role-playing game. Like, what if you were to make a role-playing game out of this movie? And so somebody once described him as being a rogue with really high stats who keeps rolling poorly. So it's like,
oh my God.
He's got all these skills, but the dice hate him. So he keeps flubbing everything he does, even though he knows he can do it.
I love that.
So I mean, and that is like the absolute perfect description for him. And I like carry that in my heart as I go on. But, yeah, so in Rapunzel's Enemy, you start seeing the really, really lighthearted side of Eugene, because this is the first time that we see Eugene and Cassandra really hang out without Rapunzel there. And I'm not counting in Before or After when he goes to ask Cassandra what's up with Rapunzel, because they're not really hanging out. They have a conversation, and then they stop having a conversation, you know? So this is the first time they are, like, hanging out all day with each other. And Rapunzel's only there a small part of the time. And so this is the first time we really get to see their true dynamic, because they're not, either of them are trying to impress Rapunzel. They're not trying to be good for Rapunzel. They're just being themselves. And this is the first time we really, really get to see that. And so this was, I think, an upswing in my opinion of Cassandra. Because I'm like, okay, you might pick on Eugene, but he picks on you back, and we're seeing more of that banter now, and I actually can appreciate it in this instance and in this case. But, like, you have a bunch of little things that is really eyebrow-raising. Like, this is the first time we see Cassandra really talk about, like, duty and tradition. Like, she's really honored to have this role, because it's this traditional role that's gone back hundreds of years. And then later on in other episodes, she starts mentioning the tradition again. And it's interesting to see how she's very into the tradition and how, like, that was really drilled into her. But then you have things like Eugene going to, like, warm up the crowd while Cassandra tries to get Gregorio to wake up. And him and his speech about goodwill or good won't. And you're just like, oh boy, you are not a public speaker. Like, you're really not.
He tries his best.
He really does.
So much. He's so funny. And, like, it's so great. Oh, but, like, to, like, go back to Rapunzel and Monty, like, having her show up in this disguise, I died.
Oh, like, Miss Misty.
Miss Misty. And, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're actually going to have her in disguise, literally. I mean, and she wore that big old coat so she could hide all of her hair under the coat. And it was just so, like, absurd. And I loved it. And just all of her, like, trying to, like, scoff the things that, like, Monty had already said he disliked about Rapunzel. But, I mean, not only does this episode have the lesson of it's okay for people to not like you, it also subtly has the lesson of don't be literally someone else just to get someone to like you, you know? Like, she goes undercover in order to find out what the problem is, and then she just drives him away because he's like, yeah, you know what? I did get along with Misty, but she was Miss Misty, but she was a lie. So It's not like I'm gonna be, oh, well, that was you all along, because it wasn't you. And so it's like, it's a really big lesson on being true to yourself, and also it's okay for people to not like you. And I do, like I said, as the series has gone on, I do appreciate what this episode brings to the table much more than I used to. So yeah, that's great. So then the next episode was like the greatest episode in the history of episodes for the longest time.
So good. I just have to say,
yes.
It was something we had thought about before, but never in a million years did I think I would actually get to see Eugene animated in a guard uniform.
Yes, Fitzherbert P.I. We had various fanfics had talked about it, various role plays had talked about it. It's like, well, Eugene can't be jobless. Like, everybody kind of agreed that Eugene can't be jobless. But we're like, but what kind of job would he do? Well, if he's got to protect Rapunzel, then it makes sense for his job to be a guard. I didn't think they'd go there. I really, really didn't.
No.
This
Amazing.
episode was so fantastic. Like, it just, it's so great. And it was so great for the longest freaking time. This is where we got the beloved one-armed push-up wink gif.
My gosh.
The best. And if you ever want to hear an honest reaction to that gif, just watch the Tangled the series panel from D23 Expo.
I watched that. I was like, that's them. I know it is. I'm not stupid.
I know it has been mentioned, but guys, for those of you who don't know, if you watch the D23 Tangled panel from D23 Expo from 2017, and you're listening to "Let Me Make You Proud," and you hear that really loud screaming at the push-up, that's me and Ellie. That's us. And you can hear us
I was like,
clearly.
Shut up, Jeremy Jordan. I don't care anymore. I'm like, but oh my God.
And that was, and it's so clear. I mean, it is so clear, guys, that like screaming is screaming, but I can literally hear our voices. Like, I know that's us. I can hear it. That's
I also
us.
just wanted the crew in the room to know how much we appreciated that. That's why I screamed. I was like,
It honestly helps that we were sitting in the middle of the crew, so they heard us.
It probably shattered Ricky's eardrums, honestly.
Oh my gosh, right? Honestly. So Fitzherbert P.I. was like, this is every Eugene fan's dream come true episode. It was, because we got so much Eugene content out of this. We got him feeling insecure about not having a job. We got him trying all these various jobs and being a cocky little bastard about it, but then being wrong because he was too busy being cocky. Like, the whole math. I mean, like...
Math.
I still say that, like, to this every day.
Yeah.
Math.
Anytime I'm doing math, I'm like, math.
And I remember we saw the job board for the first time during the trailer, and I got that pause screen cap, and we were scouring over this job board being like, oh my God, is he going to do all of these jobs? Because one of them was babysitting, and we were like, oh, please let him babysit.
I know, I was like, please.
I wanted to cry. I was like, if I see Eugene with an infant, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
I don't care that it's not his infant. I'm still gonna die.
Yeah. We all want to see Eugene with kids, because he talked about reading books to the orphans, and we're like, oh my God, he's good with kids, isn't he?
Yeah,
oh my God, he's good with kids, isn't he?
Once. I know it's already written, but please.
All the children at Eugene.
Throw the children at Eugene, yes. Just picturing, like, literal, like, pelting him with babies. He's like, stop!
Well, as my teacher once said, if you throw a baby against a wall, it sticks like a gecko.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, you are not allowed to have children. And guess what? He asked me.
And this episode also had, like, the whole training sequence was just like, thank God. Thank you, Tangled people, for doing that for us.
I'd like to thank God and also Jesus. But also whoever wrote that episode, and also whoever
boarded those episodes, yeah.
And then Chris for approving it. Thanks, Chris.
And thanks to the lawyers for letting it happen.
Thank you, lawyers.
I mean, and there's a lot of great Easter eggs also, because like there were like especially early on, when they were getting their feet under them, they did a lot of referencing the characters, like character sheets And those poses, using those expressions, and you saw a lot of that in Fitzherbert PI. And you also saw, like, homages, such as him climbing the wall with the arrows, because, like, that's an homage to the movie, you know? And then, also, I mean, so it was like a drool fest for the Eugene fans, but then the actual plot of him being like, guys, I was a really good thief, and you idiots don't know how to frickin' catch thieves. Like, what is up
you
with the
said
guard?
Every guard after me, and I still escaped.
And I still got away. Sure, I had help from Max, but we still got away.
Even if he hadn't had help from Max, he probably could have ran that whole way.
Yeah.
And jumped and probably not.
Yeah, he's well, no, he's parkour dude. This is a guy who got flung from a catapult into the wall of a tower. He could have made it.
Yeah, he's fine.
You know what's funny is when we were thirsting over this episode, you know the crew was like, wait till they get on that island. They're going to lose their minds.
They're like, whoa. Oh, you think the thirst is real now? Well,
you think you like that training guard uniform? Wait until you see what else we have in store for him.
Oh, man.
Cut Fitz tummy. Deep cut Fitz tummy.
Yes.
But yes, so it's like, but then you had some really good plot things, such as they honestly developed the captain as a character, and I wasn't expecting that.
Yes.
That, like, I was
give
really
captain a name. 20, I don't care. Just give him a name.
Yes, please.
Right?
I'm tired of him being known as captain of the guard. Just give him a name.
Just Cap. He can fight with Steve Rogers over Cap.
That's fair, I guess.
And then we had, like, it was really interesting in this episode to see Cassandra take Eugene's side. And so that was, like, I wasn't intending this podcast to be the Cassandra's character development and how I like her or don't like her episode, but that's what it's turning out to be. Because in this one, we actually saw her be like, yo, my dad's not being fair, and so I think you should do the thing anyway. You know? If he's going to cheat, you should cheat. Don't try to play fair, because that's not how he's playing it. And so then you got him, you know, in the actual, like, test sequence featuring Guard modeled after Tom Caulfield. So you got him in that actual thing, and you got to see him using his wits and then, you know, actually achieving the goal of becoming a guard, which, let's be real, he's not suited to be, you know, not if he's going to keep his real personality. That was played so sweet, and I love it, because it's like, why would he suddenly be, like, respectful? That's not Eugene. He's not respectful to the captain of the guards. And so the fact that he did his job poorly because he'd rather hang out with his girlfriend.
Oh, that was so cute.
Yes.
I really, really loved that.
But that's the one where he calls her beautiful. Oh, that was so cute.
Yes, he's like, oh, yeah, you went with the simple choice of beautiful. It's like, oh.
And the way he says it, too.
Oh, it's so sweet.
Beautiful.
It was so great. But then, like, him using his expertise to solve the crime anyway. Because he's like, you know, I just had a whole lecture about this dude having 11 fingers, and that portrait does not have 11 fingers, you know? And then they're all like, no, we checked it. And they're like, Captain, he's right.
Yeah,
and
this
then,
is when we learned he knows Italian.
Yeah.
They have stuff to steal in Italy, too, you know?
Straight up, this is like, because he'd always, like, thrown in words and phrases from other languages, and I had a conversation with Chris once, and he was saying that the majority of that is Eugene trying to sound more worldly than he actually is.
Oh my god.
But
nerd.
But he legit knows Italian, and so it's like he spent time in Italy, he learned the language. I don't know how well he speaks Italian, but he understands Italian, and that's really important.
He understood him cursing him out.
Yeah. Hey Chris, I know we just finished the last script, but like, you know, if you haven't already put in Eugene speaking full Italian at one point, maybe go back and
translate
the script.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I know that all the episodes haven't been recorded yet. You can throw that in.
Exactly.
Yeah, just have Zach learn some Italian, you know. Just a thought.
Just a thought.
But
appease the fangirl.
But I mean, the fact that he understood him cursing him out, but poorly. That was the important part. That he's like not only
that's not how Italian works.
Your syntax is wrong, you know? Using the phrase subject-verb agreement was just beautiful, you know? And then also another thing this episode gave us, it was like Eugene and Max in like total synchronization. And it was great seeing them work together and like being able to use silent cues and all that great stuff. And it was just, I mean, so one of the things I loved about this episode so much, above and beyond Eugene just being a hottie McHottieson, was that it had him being vulnerable, it had him being wrong, and it had him being competent and right. And I will say that I had a bit of fearing that this series was going to play up the comedy aspect on him in that it was going to make him be incompetent too often. And it doesn't really. You know, he's not incompetent. He's just, you know, careless, and that's not the same thing. And so this was just like such a shining example of what episodes should be. And just like how Rapunzel's enemy was like my least favorite for a long time, this was my favorite for a long time. Okay, and so we're going to wrap up this one right now, but we are going to continue on episode reviews in the next podcast. So now we've got subjects for however long this hiatus lasts. Huzzah! But before we close out for the rest of this podcast, I want to point out that October gave us not one, but 2 comic releases for the current set hair-raising adventure. The third one's out in December. Each season is getting 3 comics. And while supplemental material, like the books I had previously mentioned and the comics also, they're not 100% canon. You should be taken with a grain of salt. Chris has even confirmed this. But the main takeaway I've been getting from the last 2 issues is that Jean Thierry is going to be a big deal because they keep bringing him up. I mean, I've mentioned it before, but now he's been mentioned in the comics twice in a row. And
yeah, because isn't that... I haven't read them yet because I have been lazy and a bad fan. But he's like the main deal. Well, okay, no, wait, I take that back. I did read some of them. I just didn't read all of it. But he's the main like problem. Like both,
and it just kind of like happens and then it's okay. And I'm like, what is going on?
But I'm also, I mean, we're also getting the impression, because I had previously mentioned the theory that Rapunzel being the Sundrop means that she can defeat him, and it's kind of implying that she's not immune to him, obviously, because Sugracha was able to hypnotize her, but his magic didn't work on her in the most recent comic. Like, it just straight up did not work on her, quote, because of her magic hair. And it's like, so, like, her being the Sundrop and him trying specifically to get her is really starting to look extremely plausible. You know, that this theory, I'm like, what if? I'm like, no, I'm starting to really, really believe it.
I hope. Man, I hope.
Because in the first comic, what happened is there's this person who had this lantern, and that when she lit the lantern, it restarted the day. So she kept restarting the day so she could make up for her mistakes. And it was a lantern. The lantern was made by Jean Thierry, or by his follower. It was Jean Thierry's thing, though. And
I did read that one, and I was like, why doesn't this old lady have a name?
Well, she basically pledged herself to him, and it was just like, la-di-da. I was like, hello.
Whoa, Rapunzel, what the frick?
I was actually kind of disappointed that, like, nothing came of it. Like, she didn't even mention feeling tired after doing this day 3 days in a row, you know? And it's like, so it's like,
I feel like I'm pledged to an evil
I know.
man with a goat head. Like,
no, it's just like, so nothing came of it. But then in this comic that just came out, Rapunzel and Ariana are visiting this other kingdom with this princess and this queen, and this princess has this scepter that she can use to control people. And so she just kind of waves it around and tells people to do stuff, and they have to do it, but it doesn't work on Rapunzel. And then you find out later on that the princess's handmaiden is the one who got the scepter from Jean Thierry in order to... I mean, it doesn't specify that it was in order to use it on Rapunzel, because you get the impression that it's being used for a while. But, like, the fact that it doesn't work on Rapunzel is a big deal. And so it's just, I'm like, guys, John Terry's gonna be huge. I'm so convinced at this point that he's gonna be the big bad of season 3. Like, this is all building up to them fighting John Terry. Yeah. Like, that is really where I think this is going.
I'm so excited.
And
I hope so.
If he lives in an alternate dimension or something,
can
we go to said alternate dimension? I hope so.
That would be very interesting.
Oh God! What if only half of them go to the alternate dimension? What if the OTP gets separated?
No!
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
That's so angsty.
I love
Becky's
it.
like,
no.
Kelsey's like, yes, give me
I'm
the
like,
egg.
no, I'm like, don't do it, but do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where we're standing right now on the comics. The third one is due out in December, and then there won't be any more until season 3 starts up, because that's how they roll with these particular things. It's sort of like how Layla Howland's next book will be for season 3. Mm-hmm. So it's like all of the supplemental stuff is coming out in waves like this. Speaking of, that makes me think back to the books that were going to be released and then aren't being released, and that makes me mad all again.
None of the books are coming out anymore.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay,
they
bye.
They just disappeared.
Yeah. So it's like, because originally we were going to have a book that was about them on the other side of the Corona wall. And then we were going to have that journal replica, and those haven't come out, and they just vanished.
There was going to be another Tales of Rapunzel.
Yeah.
I think there was even art for that one, maybe, or maybe not.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was another Tales of Rapunzel. There was the journal. It's just like all of the supplemental books have like vanished.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm mad at Disney. I'm like, come on, guys, we'd buy them. Do the thing.
Please.
I just don't think we care anymore, but we care. We care every day.
I care.
All the time.
Dude, we are maintaining a podcast on an every other weekly basis because we care.
Guys, Disney.
It's been a struggle to come up with topics.
Yeah, we don't have anything to talk about anymore, so we're just talking about, stuff we kind of already talked about.
This is
not a lot. We're going more into detail, but
All right, so thanks for joining us this time, guys, and we will be recording again, and we'll pick up right where we left off, and next one is going to start with Challenge of the Brave.
We have so many feelings.
So many feelings about Challenge of the Brave. So tune in again. Thanks for joining us, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.